What's going on, everyone? LA Sports back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 3 Toronto Raptors draft targets for the 13th overall pick if they stay at 13. 3 of my favorite targets, for them, the best fits, and the best guys I think make sense for this team. And of course there's a lot of guys, but I'm just going to be talking about at least my favorite 3. Of course, a lot of people are going to talk about Grady Dick if he falls, or Cason Wallace, Kobe Buffkin, Bryce Sensabaugh. A lot of people like Jalen Hood-Schifino, Leonard Miller, Chris Murray. These are all guys we could take. But the 3, at least my 3 favorite guys, are Jordan Hawkins from UConn, Nick Smith Jr. from Arkansas, and my favorite, Keontae George out of Baylor. So these are 3 guys I think are probably the most likely to fall to the Toronto Raptors on draft night at 13, and I think are the most likely picks. Of course, this is if we stay at 13. Lots of rumblings of potentially us moving up to about 7 to maybe land one of the Thompson twins, although I think they go in the top 5 or 6. A lot of talk about maybe moving all the way up to 3 to get Scoot Henderson from the Blazers, or trading Pascal Siakam for that 3rd pick. Who knows? But we're going to get some clarity in the next under 48 hours. The draft, of course, is tomorrow, and today and tomorrow they're going to be huge days, and I'll have you guys covered on all of that good stuff that comes out. But I think in the end, overall, I think it's probably the most likely that the Raptors stay at 13. I think, I don't think they'll move up to 3. Maybe they move up a couple picks if they like Grady Dick and he's there, because I don't think he makes it to 13, but, he could. But either way, I think, for the Toronto Raptors, the most likely is that the Raptors hang at 13. We'll see if they ultimately do that. Over the next couple of days, it's going to be busy around the NBA. There will be lots of trades. Let me tell you that there will be trades, and anything big or anything Raptors related, I'll have you guys covered on that. But let's get into the 3 guys that I mentioned earlier. Now, like I said, I know that there's a lot of targets, but I'm going to be talking about my 3 favorites. We'll start it off with Jordan Hawkins from UConn. He's a shooting guard at 6'5". Of course, I think the Raptors need a guard here at 13. Ultimately, I think that's where they kind of have to go. They need a guard. Fred's, if I had to guess, probably won't be back. So it would make the most sense here to, take a guard. And I think Hawkins out of UConn, he had a great season last year. He averaged just under 20 points a game, 1 steal, 4.6 rebounds, 1.6 assists. And he makes a lot of sense. There's no question about it. He was able to do, kind of what the Raptors pretty much need him to do. I mean, I think he shoots the ball well from 3. He's and that's what the Raptors need. They need a good, shooter. And if the Raptors are going to take a shooting guard here at this, pick with what this pick is worth, the value of this pick, it better be a good guy and a good shooter. So we'll see ultimately how that all works out. I think, though, of course, Trent being back changes this a lot, because it doesn't, it doesn't, you don't have to force a guard pick now, right? There are a lot of guards, but if, for say, there weren't a lot of guards on the board and there's a lot that go in the top 12, that leaves you with some options. But I still do think the Raptors probably go guard, and I really like Jordan Hawkins. Like I said, he could shoot. The Raptors need that spot-up type shooter. And some of his strengths really say he's going to be a really good shooter in the NBA. And, I think if the Raptors could get a very good shooter, with this pick, to go at the guard spot, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, we need a shooter, and I think that will be an area that we address seriously this offseason. Even, if we don't draft a shooter. Like, say we draft a center or power forward, I think we would attack shooter in free agency, which makes a lot of sense there. The next guy I wanted to talk about is Nick Smith Jr. I think he's a really good target as well. He plays the point guard and shooting guard out of Arkansas. Again, 6'5", and he's just 19 years old. So he's really young. He's 2 years younger than Hawkins. He's a guy who he might struggle out of the gate. He probably will struggle out of the gate. This is the type of guy you're going to have to really, really be patient on. And ESPN has him ranked third in terms of point guards in this year's draft, just Scoot and Wallace ahead of him. So he could be really, really good. Of course, there's not too many point guards. It's more shooting guard heavy. So I think this would be more of a forced pick if the Raptors, feel we have to go point guard. It also, we won't know for sure about Fred VanVleet if he will be back or not. Tomorrow night by the time we're making this pick. So I think with what the Raptors do could really have a tell to what they feel might happen with Fred VanVleet. But I think for Nick Smith Jr., I think of these three names, he would be my least favorite. I still wouldn't be happy with any of these three on draft night. I would still be happy with, even more outside this. Of course, Grady Dick would be amazing. Jalen Hood-Schifino, I like him. There's a plethora of names that I'd be happy with, but in terms of being realistic, these would probably be my three favorites, but I would be okay with so many different options here for the Raptors at the 13th pick. I would also love us to move up and get Scoot, but I know that that's not always possible. But as for Nick Smith Jr., a lot of people are saying he has Markelle Fultz level upside, in terms of coming out of the draft. Markelle Fultz coming out of the draft was, they were talking about him like he was going to be one of the best point guards in the generation. So I wouldn't go that far with Nick Smith Jr., but I think he could be a really, really good player in the NBA. He's the second guy. And the last one, which would probably be my favorite, if you had to ask me who I would be the happiest with the Raptors getting if they stay at 13, it's probably Keontae George. He is 19 years old. He's going to be 20 in November. He's a 6'4" shooting guard out of Baylor. He is he's a walking bucket. He is a terrific shooter. He just goes out there and gives his best effort. He's a good player. Defensively, he gets steals, and for a guy his size at 6'4", so you need that fiery kind of energy guy. Who's going to come out there try and tip passes like Gary Trent Jr., like Fred VanVleet. I think that could be kind of him. He plays with a lot of energy. He plays with a lot of heart and grit, and you could tell. And he shoots the ball, of course, which is one of the most important things. I think for him, to be able to go out and shoot at the level that he does, I think that'll ultimately translate into the NBA. I think, he, and I think all these guys, kind of come into the NBA and start, kind of slow. I think that's part of growing and part of the rookie process. Of course, not everyone steps into the NBA like Scotty Barnes and just starts to, be a top player at the NBA level. It's not how it always works. Maybe a guy like Scoot, that'll be his type of thing. Maybe one of the Thompson twins, Wembanyama probably comes in and dominates, but that's just not how it works all the time. And most of these guys will struggle out of the gate. It'll take them some time, months, maybe even a year or two. But I really like Keontae George out of Baylor. I think he could really could fall to the Raptors on draft night. I think that would make a lot of sense for the Raptors, and hopefully Keontae George would like being his name called by the Toronto Raptors. But guys, that is all I got in this video. You guys let me know down below in the comment section your thoughts on these three targets: Keontae George, Nick Smith Jr., and of course Jordan Hawkins. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you want on draft night? Do you want to stay at 13? Who would you select if you stay at 13, or what would you trade to move up, and where would you move up? But let me know all that good stuff down below in the comment section. I'll have a video out, probably one more about the Raptors draft, draft related, before the draft. But that's all I got in this video. You guys let me know down in the comment section your thoughts. Like I said, let me know all that good stuff down in the comment section. As always, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next video. And as always, let's go Raptors.